Welcome, NBA bettors from around the globe to the Tuesday edition of the Release Show. I'm your host, John Metler, sports betting analyst here at covers.com, and I'm joined by Adam Scherher from EV Analytics. Adam, how's it going today? Adam, can you hear me?
There you go. Yeah, sorry. I'd pulled the stream up on YouTube, but I hadn't turned the sound off, so I was like hearing you delayed. How's it going?
Good. It's a Western Conference play-in tournament tonight, so we have two games. Adam has two props for us today, so usually we have three, but there's only two games, and he liked specifically two, so we're going to keep it to two. If you're new to the Release Show here, first off, subscribe to the channel, follow the show. Also, let us know if you've placed the bet, where you placed the bet, what number you're getting. And that also kind of helps us navigate because it's a market. Sports betting is very fluid. We just saw the numbers when we came on air here, but they could have moved. There might be somewhere else better. So help out your fellow sports bettors here. And third, let me know where you are watching from. And this is mostly important to me, not necessarily covers, but I personally want to know where you're watching from. And I've been keeping track, and I am going to get a map before the NBA playoffs. And I will have a map probably behind me somewhere here, post it so you guys can see it too. So let me know where you are watching from. So if you're new to the Release Show, how it works is we will bring you to a game, or we'll tell you the sports book so you can log in. Then we'll tell you the game. We'll tell you the prop market we're betting on. And then we'll tell you the player. And then we'll release the pick. And then Adam will give a breakdown of why he likes that pick. Adam is from EV Analytics. They do fantastic player prop projections. These projections are on our Covers website as well. If you go to NBA, prop projections, all those numbers there in the projections, those are from EV Analytics. But the nice part about having Adam here is those are just numbers. Adam can give us a little more context to these numbers. And that's why we love having Adam here. And also he's been dishing out winners, so that makes it also significantly better. So we are going to go to the first release here, and we are going to bet 365 for the first release. And the game, we are looking for our Golden State Warriors versus Sacramento Kings. I personally cannot believe this is the 9-10 game because they had an epic series last year, and you kind of thought the Kings would improve on that, but they struggled down the stretch. So we are looking for the rebounds market for the Kings Warriors. And then the player we are looking for is De'Aaron Fox. And the bet is De'Aaron Fox under 5.5 rebounds, even money. So once again, that's De'Aaron Fox under 5.5 rebounds, even money. Adam, if you want to break this one down for us.
Yeah, so there's not a ton in the matchup here that stands out as far as being favorable or really disfavorable to Fox. Golden State, middle of the pack for the season in terms of rebounds per game allowed, middle of the pack in terms of rebounds allowed to guards. Fox for the season averaging about 4.5 rebounds per game. You expect him to play more minutes in this spot. He's averaging about 36 minutes per game for the season. We haven't projected for 40 here, so getting the playoff bump that you would expect. But basically, it just projects as a slightly better than a coin flip, and we're getting even odds on it. We have him projected for 5.2 rebounds in those 40 minutes. So you're getting even money on under 5.5. It's just basically like somebody giving you a slightly favorable price on flipping a coin.
I feel like the thing that pops and everything you just said there was he's projected to go under 5.5 rebounds, and it's 40 minutes.
Right.
There's not much, unless you're Tom Thibodeau and you want to play this guy 48 minutes, there's just not much, how much higher can that go? And you still like this under, right? So
yeah,
that really,
and it's kind of like we've talked about with Thibodeau's guys during the regular season, where Fox certainly could play 43 or 44 minutes here. There's nothing necessarily stopping him, but from a projection standpoint, you're never really going higher than 40 or much higher than 40, especially, we're not talking game 7 of the championship or something. You're talking about the first game of the play-in. So 40, I think, is a very reasonable projection here. You could certainly see 38, 39 as well. So yeah, I think I certainly wouldn't like this if he was projected for 38 and it was this close, right? Because it's really hard to envision him going under 38 minutes. But you could certainly see 38 or 39. You could certainly see 41, 42. I think 40 is a pretty reasonable projection, and it still looks good here.
Yeah, for sure. And the chat's helping us out here. So MGM also has even money. And then I know before we came on air here, we had, I think Caesars had even money as well. So there's a couple spots. Perfect. Another one, even money. So there's a couple spots here where you can grab even money. So go grab that one before it moves on Fox. So again, Wichita, Kansas. Let's go. So the first release is De'Aaron Fox under 5.5 rebounds, even money. So we'll move on to the second release here, and we are going to FanDuel. And the game we're looking for is the exact same game: Golden State Warriors, Sacramento Kings. We're making everyone stay up late. I guess if you're on the East Coast, if you're on the West Coast, not, but East Coast. We're both East Coasters over here. And then we're looking for rebounds, player rebounds. And then the player you're looking for in the player rebounds is Trace Jackson Davis. Perfect. And the bet is Trace Jackson Davis under 7.5 rebounds minus 125 here at FanDuel. So once again, that's Trace Jackson Davis under 7.5 rebounds minus 125. Adam, if you want to break this one down for us.
Yeah, I like this one just because you have so many outs for him to not get there. We have him projected for 22 minutes, which I think is a very reasonable projection. You have Draymond back. This entire team outside of Gary Payton is healthy. And that's why there are so many outs here. You know, Steve Kerr, like for most teams, you expect a condensed rotation in a play-in game, in a postseason game. You expect that from Golden State as well, but there are so many different ways that rotation can look. And I'm not convinced that many of those iterations of their lineup involve playing a bunch of minutes for rookie Trace Jackson Davis in the spot. So the 22-minute projection, I think, makes a lot of sense. You don't expect him to be in the closing lineup. The last game that he played with Draymond he played 21.7 minutes, didn't close the first half, didn't close the second half. You don't expect him to close games here, but like they could just run rotations where Podziemski plays even more or Moody plays even more, or, they just play smaller lineups. So at that 22-minute projection, he still looks good here. And it's, I think, a lot easier to envision fewer minutes than more minutes in this spot with Golden State completely healthy.
Yeah, the second you sent me that, you texted us that bet before the show, and we were looking at it, I was like, this is a minutes thing. Trace Jackson Davis, because he was starting and he was getting minutes, but Jonathan Kuminga was also out when that was happening too, right? So like you're saying, Jonathan Kuminga's in, and Steve Kerr is a wild card when it comes to rotation. So like, and also I think I remember last year when they played the Kings in that 7-game series, he wasn't too fond of playing his younger guys a lot of minutes when like his back was against the wall in these games. So, he trusted Trace Jackson Davis down the stretch here when some guys were out. But like you're saying, fully healthy lineup. Is it actually Trace Jackson Davis minutes tonight? I think that's
right.
Obviously, that's why we're going after this. So
right, and I mentioned the 21.7 minutes in the last game Draymond played. Like you said, Kuminga was not in that game. Yeah. So I mean, there are so many ways this lineup can go where Jackson Davis is just like an afterthought.
Yeah.
And it's really hard. That's the other thing. Like, yeah, that can happen, but it's so hard to envision the inverse where Trace Jackson Davis is just like the skeleton key to Golden State's lineups tonight. Like, I don't know what that looks like.
Yeah, for sure. I know one thing. I did a game preview, whatever, for this covers, and I know the one thing when I watched their playoff series last year in the summer, the Kings put like Stephen Curry was the primary ball handler. He was the point guard. They put a ton of pressure on him and they made him work the whole way up the court. And that was like pretty exhausting for someone like Curry, who has to, also carry the load on offense. I kind of felt like the Chris Paul trade was almost because of that series against the Kings, because they felt like we need a point guard in the playoffs who can bring up the ball, push Curry off the ball. And we don't want De'Aaron Fox or Davion Mitchell or these guys picking up 94 feet and having them to work that hard. So I think when you're talking about so many outs, I think there's a chance, you see Chris Paul a little more with Curry, which means Draymond Green slides to the 5, which means Trace Jackson Davis isn't playing. So I think
exactly. The last game, again, Kuminga out, Draymond in, but the last game that Draymond was in, that was the closing lineup. You had Curry, Paul, Thompson, Wiggins, and Draymond. And there's just so many guys. Like Wiggins could become Podziemski, Wiggins could become Mooney, Paul could become Podziemski. But like, it's so hard to pick out a guy in that lineup that is getting replaced by Trace Jackson Davis.
Yeah. All right. So the second bet is Trace Jackson Davis under 7.5 rebounds minus 125. So once again, the two releases that we've done here are De'Aaron Fox. So it's both Sacramento Kings games against the Golden State Warriors, both rebound props. It's De'Aaron Fox under 5.5 rebounds, even money, bet 365, bet MGM. You had a couple options there. And then the second one is Trace Jackson Davis under 7.5 rebounds minus 125 at FanDuel. That is the best price. I think before we came on here, the second best price was minus 135 at DraftKings. Netherlands, I see you. Nice. Let's go. So those are the two releases. We will be back Thursday, which will be the second round of the Western Conference play-in tournament. We'll have the East on Wednesday, and then we'll be back for whoever these teams, whoever loses has to play again. So we'll be back on Thursday with another release show with Adam. That concludes the NBA prop picks powered by EV Analytics. Del, play the song.